There could be two reasons why we are seeing a lot of crimes being reported. One, police are genuinely registering the FIR. The other reason could be what? Fake cases can also be there. I would rather marry my daughter to a beggar from my caste rather than give it to you, even if you're covered in gold. Judiciary, which is supposed to be upholding all the principles of our preamble and our constitution, even there you can see there is gross underrepresentation of the various castes in our country. On top of it, even women also are grossly underrepresented. Their question is very simple. Okay, so is it my fault that my parents are rich? Is it my fault that I belong to an upper caste? I did not choose my caste. I did not choose my parents' income. Why should I suffer now? Hello everyone. Welcome to PWOli's English YouTube channel. And yes, from the background, whatever you're seeing here, you might have pretty much understood the topic that I'm going to take. And that is caste discrimination and reservation. It's a very tricky topic because of the reason that it's very sensitive. Because if you support reservation, obviously you are going to find a lot of backlash from the unreserved category. People who vouch for merit, people who vouch for quality, not reservation, not on the basis of caste. It should only be on the basis of quality and merit. And if you support de-reservation, then you're going to find backlash again simply because you're not somebody who is catering to the aspect of equity, social justice. So it's very difficult to actually pick a side. And even when this question comes in the interview or if this question comes in the mains exam, how are you going to write it? So the aspects what we are discussing here is multifarious simply because it will have repercussions or its relevance. If you see, it is there in GS paper 1 mains, it is there in GS 2 mains, it is even there in ethics paper, and it can even come in your interview as a question. So we need to interpret this topic purely in factual terms. Let's keep the emotions aside. So the first aspect that we are going to take here in our video would be obviously to understand the discrimination part. To what extent the discrimination happens in our country, and what best way to know other than the data that is given. Over 57,000 cases crimes against scheduled castes were recorded in the year 2023. The article is from September 30th, 2025. NCRB data this is. It's not that old. Slight increase of 0.4%. Crimes rate against SCs in 2023 was 28.7 per lakh population. UP followed by Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar. West Bengal reported very low crimes. Now one thing you must understand here, two aspects needs to be understood. Number one is, there could be two reasons why we are seeing a lot of crimes being reported. One, the reporting process has become better. Police are genuinely registering the FIR. The other reason could be what? Fake cases can also be there. So we can not clearly say which is what, which is not. The cases are high. States again crime rate. Other key statistics, simple hurt cases around 18,437, SC/ST Atrocities Act 4345, rape cases of SC children 1,379. Criminal intimidation 4,486, rape cases against SC women 2,835. We are going to celebrate our 80th independence. What independence have we achieved when just based on your caste, you're being targeted? Because the reality is, if an SC woman is raped in this country, I'm not telling it is there in every state, but at least in a few states, if an SC woman is raped, it is very difficult for her to go to a police station and get an FIR filed. That is the reality. One of my friend was traveling with his mother, and a drunk motorist on a motorcycle came and hit his vehicle, and that guy collapsed on the road and he fainted there. Maybe fainted, or because he was too drunk, he just went off to sleep, whatever. Cops came. The first question that the cop asked was, who is he? Who is the guy who is lying on the road? So the constable answered, he is from this caste. Not the name, Not whether he's drunk or not drunk. None of that. It was straight away, this guy is from this caste. The reply that came from the cop was probably an inspector. Marne dete fir. Which simply means you could have let him die. Arey, let him die. What is the big deal? Who is the one in the car? Then he said they are from this religion. Muslim religion. Immediately the plate became now Hindu versus Muslim. Then he told my friend, come to the police station. Even though he was on the right side, he was not driving fast, because obviously when your mother is there with you, etc., generally, boys or men generally don't drive that fast. My point of telling you this is this much. Does all this matter? Should the caste or should the religion be a question of concern when an accident occurs on the road? Or rather, should we only look at it objectively on pure factual basis that it's a case of drunken driving and negligent driving and charge the cases accordingly, take the statements from both and let the insurance companies, etc., take it from there? But this is India for you people. Some things in India never changes. And this is only tip of the iceberg. Let us take it up further. Jaipur emerges as the caste crime hotspot. Crimes against scheduled castes 21-23, 35% increase. Against SC, 47% increase. Lucknow, Jaipur, Bengaluru, Delhi, Mumbai. Southern states generally take pride over the fact that caste-based inequalities or caste-based atrocities, when you talk about, it is a little less. But Bengaluru being a metropolitan city, there are other metropolitan cities here, comes at number 3. Crimes against STs, Jaipur, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Surat, Indore, Bengaluru. Again, the cases. Surge in caste crimes in Lucknow. Nature of crimes against SCs in Jaipur and Bengaluru. Both cities saw the bulk of their SC cases in crimes against women, including rape and assault, with the intent to outrage modesty, followed by simple hurt. So, irrespective of the fact whether you are coming from rural India or urban India, don't you think there is a chance for an SC woman to get raped just because of her caste? This is something to think over. I agree. Sometimes it is not necessary that a person identifies a woman, oh, she is an SC, so let me go and rape her. Not necessary. Many a times, 98 cases, 98% of the rape cases when you take up, the crime is always committed by a person known to the victim. Less than 2% of the cases are random, like our Nirbhaya case, etc. But otherwise, most of the cases, if you see, the victim knows the perpetrator. But it is a reality that SC women are not safe. Out of 100 cases, I will take it just for the sake of argument. I will agree that 99 cases were random. But one case at least was there where they targeted that woman simply because she was from SC. Clear, people? Let us take it a little more further. Low charge sheeting rates in Jaipur and Bengaluru. Jaipur SC cases 28.9, ST 26.1, Bengaluru 65.1, ST 50%. Two cities, capital cities for that matter. If in these cities this is the situation, then imagine the rest of the country. Because discrimination is there even at the police station. When you go there to file a case, they really ask you, what is your caste? So I will tell you, your dressing matters everywhere. That is why I keep telling people, dress neatly and go. Many people don't realize it. But when you come from a very humble background, you're also from the lower caste, it is very easy for the cops also to target you. I'm not saying all the cops and police stations are like that, but that is the reality. Taking it one more notch further up. Harsh reality for SCs and STs in India. Again, 28.7, highest rate, Rajasthan. That is rate-wise. The number of cases that are there per lakh of SC population, highest crime rate, that is in Rajasthan. Absolute numbers when you take, that is UP. Now, in regional contrast also, southern states like Kerala with relatively small SC population show disproportionately high rates per lakh. Now, generally, if you compare the entire country, southern states it is pretty less. But even then, for the very limited number of population that is there in the state of Kerala, crimes against SC or ST population, it's pretty much high. The rate I am talking about. Clear? Crimes in metro again, Jaipur, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Surat, Indore, Delhi. Crimes against STs, Manipur at the top. Obviously, the violence is going on there. National Capital Territory of Delhi, 10th among the crimes against ST. Again, like I told you, filing matters here. FIR, if it is registered, only then that crime becomes part of the NCRB data. If the FIR is not registered, then it will not reveal what is the ground level reality. Taking forward, decline has started. There is a slight decline in cases very recently. 2024, if you take, there has been slight decline. Crimes against scheduled tribes decreased. Top states again, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra. Crimes against scheduled caste, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Bihar. So in a nutshell, you can basically see crimes against SC and ST, if you take, they are really in and around this region. All right. Slight variations in data. Moving further forward. Now, when this level of discrimination is there, when you are targeted just for being somebody from SC/ST or somebody from OBC, then what is the other reality? The other reality is this: honor killings. It happens on a regular basis. Now, you fall in love with a guy or a girl who is from another religion, there is a very good chance that you can get murdered in India. Interfaith. But this is not that discussion. Here, a person is being targeted exclusively just because their caste is different. It is not about religion. Just because the caste is different. Let us look at the data for that also. It was from 2014 that for the first time they started keeping a track of such cases. And in 2014, the cases that were reported was 18. Official NCRB figures, if you see, 2020 was 25, 21 33, 22 18. It looks very less because these are national figures, mind you. Interestingly enough, one Tamil Nadu NGO counted 195 cases in Tamil Nadu alone over 5 years. Official data is what? 25, 33, 18 for 2020, 21, 22 according to National Crime Records Bureau. But an NGO in Tamil Nadu in 5 years counted the total number of cases in the state of Tamil Nadu alone to be 195 cases of honor killings. Getting the picture here? I have been at least witness twice to that $1 million dialogue. Dialogue was said in Hindi, another dialogue was said in English, but the content was the same. And what was that dialogue? I would rather marry my daughter to a beggar from my caste rather than give it to you, even if you're covered in gold. This was the dialogue said by one father from Rajasthan and another father from Karnataka. Dialogue is the same. They are no way related. That's the level of casteism that is built into the DNA of Indian parents. And it will only get perpetuated as we go further and further. If you marry somebody from lower caste, it is believed that the honor is lost. That is the ultimate reality. In fact, I remember some gentleman had commented under my video also telling that, why do these lower caste men always want our upper caste girls? Are you able to see the patriarchy hidden in it? that a woman is not sensible enough, a woman is not educated enough, a woman is not intelligent enough to take that life choice for herself as to who should be her partner. Supreme Court has made it very clear in multiple rulings that this is part of your Article 21, right to life. A woman is free to choose her partner. A woman is free to choose whom she wants to live with, what job she wants to deal with. Patriarchy and casteism mixed together literally decides whom a woman should marry, when she should marry, etc. And in case if she decides to take up her own decision, then this is what awaits her or him. Supreme Court's 2025 observation at the root of one Kerala Tamil Nadu intercaste murder was the deeply entrenched hierarchical caste system. Honor murders must get a strong measure of punishment. Easier said than done, because Supreme Court is sitting in Delhi. Be it Kerala, Tamil Nadu or any other state in this country, they are far away from Delhi. And it is very easy to say things there, when at the ground level, right from the cops to the criminal justice system, everybody actually will support whom? The parents of the girl who are about to commit an honor killing or who would have committed the honor killing. That is the bottom reality of this. Because ultimately that patriarchal system what we have here, it is seeped so deep. So those of you who are always telling reservation must end, it will end only on the day when discrimination ends. Got the point here? When you stop, when the daughters of our country are not murdered anymore, when the son-in-laws are not murdered anymore, when the grandchildren born out of an intercaste love marriage are not murdered anymore, only then we can expect discrimination to end. And only then what can we expect? Reservation to end. Taking it further forward, over-representation of marginalized castes in prisons. So it is not just the atrocities that are committed against them. Even in prisons, if you see, share in the population of SC and STs is 24.2%. Almost we can say 1/4 of the population, total population. How many SC STs? What is the SC ST share in Indian prisons? That is 34%. That means more than 1/3. That means if you are from SC ST and you are also poor, your access to legal aid, your access to justice is also denied. Scheduled caste have constituted more than 1/5 of prisoners in several NCRB database. SCs account for more than 20%. And a substantial proportion of SC and ST prisoners are under trials. That means the trial is yet to start. So if they get to know you are from SC ST, you are also poor, you don't have any connections, you don't have access to lawyers, etc., you are done for. Your life is of no value or no worth, as said by that inspector when he got to know that guy is from SC. The first question is, marne deta? Got the point here? Your life doesn't have any value. Movie time. Try watching this movie, Jai Bhim. I think it is available in Amazon, based on a true story. Overrepresentation is not just a statistic, it is a reflection of structural inequality and denial of equal justice. Now, you got arrested, you are in jail. The discrimination doesn't end even there. Jobs in the prison are also given on the basis of your caste. So, cooking duties are generally assigned to those people who are considered to be spiritual or superior in caste hierarchy. Sweeping, cleaning and sanitation work are generally given to marginalized castes. Then, denotified tribes are there. What do you mean by denotified tribes? During the British era, there were certain tribes who were classified by the British as criminal tribes. These were basically our traditional weavers, artisans, small scale industries, etc., blacksmiths, all that. But because of the British policies, annexation policies, Many of them lost their job because they did not have their zamindars or did not have the kings, etc., to support their profession. So many of them ventured out into robbing. So British basically classified this entire category. Whoever were get into robbing or stealing or into dacoitry, they were basically placed under this category called criminal tribes. Unfortunately, even after independence, many of these tribes continued to be bracketed under that category. Later, they were denotified. However, the problem here is again that they are not educated. They don't have any representation. They don't even have a ration card with them to prove their identity. Many of these tribes still don't get any protection whatsoever. And when you are not categorized, when you are not represented properly, you don't have any proper ID card, it only means you are at the mercy of the system. Mercy of the system simply means only if the officer concerned in the police station is ethical, only then these people and their issues will be addressed. Otherwise, they are not even taken care of. This is the reality. Taking it further forward, Supreme Court, however, made an intervention in the Sukanya Shanta versus Union of India. 3rd October 2024. Supreme Court held that caste-based discrimination in prisons violates Articles 14, 15, 17, 21 and 23 and gave 4 directions here. Directed removal of caste column and preferences in prison registers, prohibited caste-based allocation of prison labor, directed removal of discriminatory provisions concerning denotified tribes from prison manuals, directed removal of discriminatory provisions concerning habitual offenders from prison manuals. Habitual offenders means people who are into the habit of going on violating the law. Make all these changes. Supreme Court had to direct in 2024. Are you able to get the point here? That means for how many years have we been following the system then? Now, following the Supreme Court directions, finally government also took some action. Amendments to the Model Framework, prohibition in the Model Act 2023, Model Act a guiding framework, data for justice, not discrimination. That is ultimately even government also decided to make a standard operating procedure for all the prison manuals and issue it to all the states. But if this is what is happening in the prison, were the cops, etc., supposed to be upholding the constitutional values, not make any discrimination on the basis of caste? If caste discrimination exists inside the prison walls, imagine the rest of the country. Now, that aspect is done. What about the educational outcomes? Are they really backward? Well, higher education enrollment trends, if you see, OBC, SC, ST, etc., if you see, there has been increase compared to 2014-15 and 23-24. If you look at the data overall, there has been a 60.2% increase, 51.4 and 75.7% increase respectively for OBC, SC and ST, which is a very, very good thing. All right. Total higher education enrollment increased from 3.42 to 4.5 crore. SC, ST and OBC students together accounted for 61.9% of total higher education enrollment. Gross enrollment ratio, again, if you take SC, ST has increased. However, okay, when you take mean years of schooling, OBC it is 4.3, SC it is 3.3, ST it is 1.5. Mean means average. It is almost like the average years of schooling. That means there is a higher chance of people from OBC, SC and ST to drop out compared to the general category. What is the reason for that? Well, basically the point is this. See, most of us would have studied in English medium schools, correct? Only if that language is used inside home, you are going to remember it, you are going to retain it. If you have simply studied A for apple, B for ball and learned to read a few sentences, maybe write a few sentences, will not make you actually fluent in that language because you are not using it at home. Especially if you are not using that language at home, it becomes very difficult for OBC, SC, ST students to catch up. And sometimes when you talk about scheduled caste or scheduled tribes, Hindi itself won't be their mother tongue. So even Hindi is a difficult language for them. How do you expect them to continue their schooling when they are not able to understand the meaning of the sentences that are being taught in the school? Representation elite institutions, SC students 9.1 percentage, ST 2.1 percentage. Obviously, because yes, higher enrollment is there. Year on year, slight increase is also there. Slight increase in the sense, okay, from the population that is there of OBC, SC, ST, each year it is increasing. And in 10 years, we saw the average increase was around 61 or 62 percentage. But enrollment ratios as well as the mean years of schooling when you take it, it paints a different picture. And entry into higher institutions also, if you see, it's very limited. Higher education enrollment, this we saw. Share in PhD admissions, 9.1 percentage for SC. ST it is 2.1, OBC 23.2. What is the reservation provision? It is 15 percentage. That means if 15 percentage is the reservation, only 9.1 is coming there. What is the vacancy or the amount that needs to be filled? 5.9. Here it is minus 5.4. Here it is minus 3.8. That means in spite of the reservation policies that exists in most of these institutions, it does not actually fill the vacancies or the seats that are actually allocated for these communities. Simple logic again. From the grassroots level education or the grassroots level support system, they don't have. Because like I told you, only if your parents are already educated, you will get the benefit of it. Your parents are well versed in Hindi, you will be able to speak good Hindi. Your parents are well versed in English, you will end up speaking and thinking in English. It is as simple as that. Getting the picture here. Moving on. Now let us take up judiciary. So education system we saw. In judiciary, what is the scenario? Like in judiciary, do you have people from OBC, SC, ST? Among the 849 High Court judges appointed from 2018 to March 2026, there are 33 judges from SC community, 17 from ST. From OBC, it is 104. Don't you think it is grossly underrepresented? Not even 50%. Judiciary, which is supposed to be upholding all the principles of our preamble and our constitution, even there you can see there is gross underrepresentation of the various castes in our country. On top of it, even women also are grossly underrepresented. 3.9%, 2% and 12.2%. Totally SC, ST, OBC, if you calculate it, it comes to around 18.1%. The data below is for the earlier period. What about government jobs? So educational institutions, we saw it is okayish. Not so bad, not so great. Judiciary, we saw there is a clear underrepresentation. What about government jobs now? Because that is where most of the people tell me, no, but you know, sir, you don't know the reality. Now they are only having all the jobs. They are only having all the jobs. Is it so? Let us see. For the group A jobs, SC, ST, OBC, 14 plus 6, 20, 20 plus 19, 39. I'm just giving a rough example here. That means around close to 40%. (16 plus 7, 23 plus 21, 44. 16 plus 8, 24 plus 27, 51. 36 plus 8, 44 plus 21, 66. So if you actually see, what are you observing here? Reserved categories are highest as we go down in terms of the hierarchy of the jobs. Group A has the least representation of the reserved category. It is 40%. Unreserved category is close to 60. This is 56. Group C, 49. Group C, Safai Karamchari, it is around 34. This is the unreserved category. What does it mean? Even after 30 years of this reservation system, whatever we are having in this country, it has not actually brought parity between the reserved and the unreserved category. This parity, we have not achieved it yet. This is the reality. These are not my numbers, these are all official data. Got the picture here? So you take judiciary, underrepresentation is there. You take educational institutions, there also we saw vacancies are there. If 15% SCs were supposed to fill the seat, it is not that much. There is at least a 5% of underrepresentation there. Even in government jobs, if you take for the top jobs, again, underrepresentation is there. When it comes to doctors, engineers, lawyers, as well as other professions, what we talk about, professional courses, etc., or professional jobs that we talk about, salaried formal jobs, even there is a huge underrepresentation of OBC, SC and ST as revealed by various surveys. Now, survey data, we cannot take it like an official statistic simply because it is all based on a sample size. Survey means what? I will go and question a few people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, etc. So based on 10,000 people's answers, I cannot say, oh, 10,000 people, this is the data. Then for 145 crore, this could be the data. I cannot do that. But yes, underrepresentation is there. Because like I told you, if you don't have a proper educational background inside your home, it is very difficult for you to build up from there and build a future where you can access all these jobs. Further, the last and the final nail. What actually keeps caste going further? So we saw there is caste discrimination. There is discrimination even in the prisons. There is discrimination in terms of honor killing. There is discrimination in terms of the crimes committed. And there is underrepresentation also. In such a scenario, what will most of these people do? Obviously, they will unite. They will try to form various political parties so that their interests are protected. And in India, especially if you see, there are multiple political parties which actually run their entire campaigning trying to please various castes. And the castes today are nothing but pressure groups. They can influence policies of the government. They can influence policies of political parties. Even when you look at the election results, etc., like when Bihar BJP alliance won, I had to shut the TV because the analysis was being given entirely on the basis of caste. These many people came from this caste and they voted, but the Brahmins also, to capture that vote, they had fielded this candidate, and then this was there, Yadavs were there, then that was there, this was there. I was like, what the hell? Analysis of an election should have been on the basis of something else, but no. It was purely on the basis of caste-based politics. When you are having political parties itself in the name of caste, do you really think caste can be eliminated from the country? Absolutely not. Dalit or SC-centric parties, around 4 to 6 significant parties are there. OBC or farmer-centric parties, 6 to 10. Community or subcaste-centric parties, around 10 to 15 are there. 20 to 30 prominent caste or community-oriented parties at national or state level. 40 to 50 plus, including smaller regional and splinter factions, are also there. Election Commission does not classify any party based on caste or subcaste because obviously that is clearly a violation. But this is the reality. Each political party that is there, either at the state level or the national level, they are also playing to this caste-based politics. Got the picture here? Now, that was about the discrimination. That means discrimination is a reality. There is underrepresentation. There are crimes committed against SC, ST. That much is clear. So discrimination cannot be eliminated, at least when we all are alive. That is not going to happen. We saw in that particular area, no state is great. Be it the state of Kerala, or be it the metropolitan city of Bengaluru, or Mumbai, or Jaipur, or Delhi, whatever. None of these places are safe. The safety itself is not guaranteed. But let us now understand the reservation system. The early beginnings of it can be linked to 1902 of Shahu Maharaj of Kolhapur introduced 50% reservation in jobs for backward classes. Madras Presidency Communal Government Order introduced communal representation in government for non-Brahmins, Muslims, Christians, backward Hindus and depressed classes. British government announced the communal award, but later they had to cancel it because of Gandhi opposed separate electorates for the depressed classes. And finally, the Pune Pact of 1932 was signed, where joint electorates and reserved legislative seats were given, a practice which is continued to date. SC, ST, reservation is there. Seats are reserved. Later, 1950, Indian Constitution comes into force. State of Madras versus Champakam Dorairajan, Supreme Court judgment. Court struck down communal government order in educational institutions. 1951, the first constitutional amendment empowered the state to make special provision for the advancement of socially and educationally backward classes and for SCs and STs. Article 15, Clause 4. 53, First Backward Classes Commission under Kaka Kalelkar Commission. Kalelkar Commission submitted its report in 1955. However, its recommendations were not accepted by Union government. Later, you had the Mandal Commission, which was constituted under Article 340 in 1979, which was the second Backward Classes Commission. And their purpose was to identify socially and educationally backward classes and recommend measures for their advancement. And they identified around 3,743 castes and communities, which came to be known as OBC, recommended 27% reservation in government services and public sector undertakings for OBCs. Mandal implementation and Supreme Court verdict. 1990, the VP Singh government implemented the Mandal Commission. 27% reservation for OBC in central government services. 1990, implementation, which triggered widespread protests and counter mobilization across India. 92, Indira Sawhney judgment actually gave constitutional validity to the entire recommendation given by Mandal Commission, which was 27% reservation. Key principles laid down by the Supreme Court. 50% principle. What is the 50% principle? Reservations, whatever you give, should not cross the 50% barrier. That was the first thing. Clear? Two principles were laid by the Supreme Court in the Indira Sawhney judgment, and that was the total reservation, whatever you give, should not cross 50%. The second principle was the creamy layer. Now, what is cream? In a cake, if you really take, not the current cake where everywhere cream is there, good old days, cream always used to be there at the top. So, just like that, people who are already well off within the OBC, they shouldn't be given the benefits of reservation. Who are below that creamy layer, only they should be given. Today, even for OBC reservation also, you should fall under the non-creamy layer. And one of the criteria for that is obviously the 8 lakh family income. If the family income, which is basically fathers and mothers, combined income is more than 8 lakh, you are not eligible for reservation. You will come under the creamy layer of OBC, which in other words means you will be just treated like general category. Alright. Article 16.4 does not permit reservation promotions. Reservation under this provision is limited to initial recruitment. Applies only to initial recruitment. That means what? So at the time of recruitment, you can give OBC reservation. You can recruit anybody under OBC reservation. But your OBC criteria or your OBC caste is not going to get you any relaxation when it comes to promotion. Promotion will follow all the general rules of merit or service or seniority, whatever it is. Expansion era and legal challenges. So, VP Singh all right, people. So, basically, we see that at this point, from this point onwards, OBC reservation has now entered into our political, in societal system. Clear? Taking it further forward. In 1995, there was 77 constitutional amendment which brought in reservation promotions for SCs and STs. 81st constitutional amendment allowed for carry forward of unfilled reserved vacancies. 93rd constitutional amendment enabled the states to make special provisions for the advancement of SC, STs and socially and educationally backward classes in admission to educational institutions. 2006, the Act operationalized 27% OBC reservation in central educational institutions. Central government reservation framework for SCs 15%, for STs 7.5, for OBC 27. 27 plus 15, 42, 42 plus 7.5, 49.5%. Still very much within the limit of the 50% principle that was given in the Indira Sawhney case. Alright. So things were going pretty much smooth. Indira Sawhney judgment also not bothered with much. But then something changed. And what was that? Parliament introduced in 2019 through the 103rd Constitutional Amendment 10% reservation for economically weaker sections through Articles 15 Clause 6 and 16 Clause 6. And what was this EWS category? For EWS also it was the same creamy layer principle that the income should be less than 8 lakh. Other criteria is also there, but this is one of the main criteria here. Now, interestingly, you must understand here, EWS is actually for the general category, the unreserved category here, who do not come under OBC, SC and ST. And if their annual income is less than 8 lakh, then they are eligible for EWS reservation. So, if you actually look at it, SC, ST, OBC put together, along with this 10%, total reservation crossed 50%. So some of you can say, but isn't that a violation of Indira Sawhney's case? Not actually. See, this reservation, what you see for SC, ST, OBC, that is the reserved category. Correct. Based on historical injustice also, it is there. It is not just your economic criteria. Economic criteria is there for OBC, not for SC, ST. This is one category actually, reserved category. This EWS is actually not for SC, ST or OBC. It is for general category. The poor among the general. So, totally if you see it is 59.5. But now look at the other side of the story. There is a 41.5% who will have to fight it out only on the basis of merit. Because their question is very simple. Okay, so is it my fault that my parents are rich? Is it my fault that I belong to an upper caste? I did not choose my caste. I did not choose my parents' income. Why should I suffer now? No answer for that. And obviously, if you are from this category, you will be dead against reservation. One of my friend again, because obviously he was from the general category. Civil service results came. He didn't clear. It was his third or fourth interview. So all the other friends had gathered up in a hotel. They called him also. He also went. My friend was being advised by a guy who had cracked the exam because of reservation. Irony was that my friend actually had total marks if you take. He had more marks than this guy, but cracked the exam with reservation. Okay. So this guy from reservation, he was basically advising my friend on how to write answers effectively. I asked him, why did you tell anything back? Did you tell him anything? Did you reply anything? He said, no, I just sat there listening to it. Even knowing that each paper you take, GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4, essay, interview, anything you take, I have more marks than him. But he entered the service because he has reservation. I didn't enter because I was from general category. Getting the point here? That is the other side of the story. You don't have any benefits whatsoever simply because you were born into a family where, let us say, your income is slightly more than what the government has recommended. Slightly more, not too high also. And number two, you have a caste, you belong to a caste which is considered to be upper caste. Now, what will you do? So, it is perfectly natural for people who suffered that to actually go completely against any sort of reservation. Getting the point here? 2022 Janhit Abhiyan judgment, Supreme Court upheld the constitutional validity of the 103rd constitutional amendment and 10% EWS reservation by a 3:2 majority. Majority held that the 50% ceiling established in Indira Sawhney was not an inflexible constitutional ceiling in relation to EWS reservation, permitting the 10% EWS quota to operate in addition to existing SC, ST and OBC reservations. This is the reality. Moving further. Now comes the question of subcategorization, because in OBC we saw from the Indira Sawhney judgment onwards there was a subcategorization, creamy layer, non-creamy layer. But what about SC, ST? The first time somebody tried doing this was through 1975 Punjab government circular. Issued a government circular letter providing for internal prioritization within the existing 25% scheduled caste reservation in government services. This measure is regarded as an early example of SC subclassification or reservation within reservation in India. 2000, Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh enacted the Andhra Pradesh Scheduled Caste Act 2000, which followed the recommendations of Justice P. Ramachandra Raju Commission, which examined disparities among SC communities. 57 SC castes and communities in the state were divided into 4 groups, A, B, C and D, based on their relative backwardness and representation. And then they gave Group A 1%, Group B 7%, Group C 6%, Group D 1% reservation. Subcategorization they did with SC. But wait. However, in the E.V. Chinnaya judgment, subclassification was halted by the Supreme Court in 2004. In E.V. Chinnaya versus State of Andhra Pradesh, 5-judge Constitution Bench of Supreme Court struck down the Andhra Pradesh SC subclassification law. The court held that SC specified in the presidential list under Article 341 constituted a constitutionally recognized class and that a state could not further subclassify that caste class for reservation purposes. State cannot do it. Supreme Court ruled. The judgment did not mean SCs were sociologically identical. Rather, it held that state lacked the constitutional authority to further divide the class notified under Article 341 for reservation purpose. State did not have that power to do subclassification. This was the judgment here. Punjab and Haryana High Court struck down 1975 Punjab government circular relying on the principle established in E.V. Chinnaya. Look at that now. That is the first Punjab circular 1975. High Court only struck it down using this one ruling from there. Supreme Court dismissed the special petition challenging the Punjab and Haryana High Court's decision in 2008. Punjab and Haryana High Court also struck down a similar provision in the Punjab scheduled caste and backward classes which had again provided first preference to Balmikis and Mazhabi Sikhs in 50% of SC reserved vacancies. So you saw that. Overall, if you see 2004 judgment, E.V. Chinnaya judgment actually laid the foundation for what? No subclassification you're supposed to do of the SC community. Now SC also if you cannot do means simply means what for ST also you cannot do any subclassification. Clear? But obviously things will change. 2024 State of Punjab versus Davinder Singh constitutional turnaround. In a 6:1 majority, the Supreme Court ruled that subclassification within the SC and ST categories is constitutionally permissible. The judgment overruled the relevant principle established in E.V. Chinnaya that prohibited such classification. Reasoning. Court recognized that SC and ST are not necessarily homogeneous groups and that significant differences in social and educational backwardness and representation may exist among communities within these categories. That means almost after 2 decades. Court realized that within SC, within ST, This is not a homogeneous group. I have told this many a times in my class also. Within SC, again, there are SCs which have assets, land, access to land, assets. They are well off. There are again SCs who have no documents, nothing, and they are not even aware about how to even get a caste certificate. One or two students like that had contacted me also, sir, how to get a caste certificate? We know we are from SC, but we don't know whom to approach for it. This is also a reality. Supreme Court also finally woke up to that reality in 2024. States may create subclassifications within SC/ST categories to ensure that reservation benefits reach communities that remain inadequately represented. But for such things, what is the most important criteria? Empirical basis. You need to have data with you. How many SC caste people are there in a state? What is their total population? How much of wealth do they have? What is their educational level of educational backwardness? All this data should be there with the state. Which state has such data? Not a single state. So finally, even after Supreme Court such ruling, very recently now, Center gave a final statement in Supreme Court why this subclassification within SC/ST is not possible. 6th August 2026, the central government filed an affidavit before the Supreme Court opposing the application of creamy layer principle to SCs and STs in reservation. Center argued that creamy layer principle, which operated in context of OBC, is not applicable to SC/ST. SC/ST reservation is intended to address historical and systemic social discrimination, social marginalization, rather than merely economic disadvantage. Because like I told you, you can get killed in India even if you are an engineer, but you belong to SC, you fell in love with a girl from an upper caste, you can get killed in India. So obviously an engineer could be earning pretty decently, correct? But that is not sufficient. Your caste is also a mega criteria when it comes to alliances, marriage alliances especially. So that is why the center gave that, because I gave you the examples, the data of discrimination that is there in our country at every junction, at every corner of this beautiful country of ours. Correct? So the center is not wrong when it says that there is historical, systemic social discrimination and social marginalization. Center argued that economic advancement does not automatically eliminate caste-based social discrimination or the historical disadvantages experienced by SCs, including those associated with untouchability. That is, even today people do this thing of, if they visit a person from SC's home, or if a person from SC category comes to their home, they will start sprinkling this cow dung water to purify the house. They themselves will go and take bath. Or even when they are attending any such weddings, etc., they generally will tell their children also, just go and come, don't eat anything from there, don't drink anything from there. That is the reality. Got the picture here? So discrimination is there at every corner. Center is absolutely right in this statement. Center therefore opposed introducing an income-based exclusion criteria within existing SC/ST reservation framework. What is the difference between OBC and SC/ST reservation? Center relied on existing judicial precedent to argue that creamy layer principle evolved in the context of OBC reservation should not automatically be extended to SCs and STs. Government referred to Indra Sawhney versus Union of India and Ashok Kumar Thakur versus Union of India in support of its position that the creamy layer principle does not operate in the same manner for SC/ST reservation. Center also argued that observations concerning the creamy layer in M. Nagaraj versus Union of India should not be treated as establishing a general binding creamy layer exclusion mechanism for SCs and STs. Because the main issue is that OBC, to an extent, yes, they have that discrimination towards them is also there, but it is not as worse as it is towards SCs and STs. Taking it further forward, constitutional division. Center argued that changes to the constitutional framework governing reservation involve legislative and executive policy making rather than being matters that the judiciary should formulate through directions. In other words, the center was actually telling the judiciary, mind your own business. This is a classic example of judicial overreach. Because it is ultimately the parliament or ultimately the government that should take a call on the subcategorization, etc. It is not for the court to tell, okay, start the subcategorization. Court will say, for example, every 20 years, if court is going to revise its judgment, you cannot trust the judiciary. When a policy has to be made, it has to be discussed properly in the parliament, it has to be debated, and then the elected representatives should finally decide what is best for the country. It is not for the judiciary alone to decide it. Because judiciary can just say it and just leave it. The repercussions of it will have to be faced by the government of the day. Getting the point here? Articles 341 and 342 establish the constitutional mechanism for identifying SC and ST. Under Article 341, the President specifies SCs for each state or union territory, while Parliament has the power to include or exclude groups from the notified law. Getting the picture here? Article 342 establishes the corresponding constitutional mechanism for scheduled tribes. Center emphasized that courts cannot themselves alter the presidential SC/ST list. This is a clear case then where judiciary is telling, okay, remove these people from SC/ST because their income is more. Include these people in SC/ST because their income is less. Court cannot do that. That is left for a presidential order or for the parliament to decide. Clear? Taking it further forward. This does not mean that reservation policy is completely immune from judicial review. Courts retain constitutional authority to review reservation policies for compliance with constitution. What does that mean? See, courts can basically see whether this reservation policy violates Article 14. That is, are the equals being treated equally or not? That is important. That court can check. But court cannot basically say, okay, we will frame a policy, remove those people from there, include these people into it. That is not at all for the judiciary to decide. Why? That provision is not there in the constitution. According to the constitution, under Article 341 and 342, it is for the parliament or the presidential order. Presidential order obviously means it comes from what? It comes from the council of ministers headed by the prime minister. It is for them to decide. Clear? What about the public interest litigation seeking income-based prioritization, creamy layer exclusion? The issue reached Supreme Court through separate PILs seeking greater internal differentiation within reserved category. In Ramshankar Prajapati versus Union of India and others, the petitioner sought a merit-cum-means approach involving income-based prioritization within reserved categories to promote a more equitable distribution of reservation benefits. In a separate petition filed by Ashwini Kumar Upadhyay, the petitioner sought implementation of creamy layer principle for SC/ST. Supreme Court issued notice in Ashwini Kumar petition. Court subsequently sought response from center and states. Therefore, the petitioners are seeking nationwide income-based prioritization of creamy layer exclusion. No final nationwide SC/ST creamy layer regime has been judicially imposed as of August 2026. These are the public interest litigations that were filed. This is just for your information only. You need not remember any of this. Various PILs were filed and Supreme Court also ruled what? In a 6:1 majority, subcategorization is required for SC/ST on the basis of income. Center said nothing doing. Historical injustice, social marginalization, societal discrimination, these are the determining factors, and it is not for the court to decide as per the provisions of the constitutions under Article 341 and 342. Clear? Further? Empirical evidence. Center argued that any fundamental alteration of the reservation framework, particularly the introduction of income-based preferences, cannot be imposed arbitrarily. Why? Why center is telling this cannot be done, this cannot be done? No data. State-wise, I need the data, right? Each caste, each community, how educationally backward they are, how backward they are income-wise, what is their total number? It argued that such a change would require a comprehensive empirical assessment supported by extensive socio-economic data concerning the beneficiaries of the reserved categories. Center distinguished reservation public employment and educational institutions from welfare schemes in which a means test is commonly used. It argued that the petition seeking broad income-based restructuring were vague and lacked the necessary empirical foundation for such a sweeping policy change. See, petitions you can go and file. Income-based classification, bring it immediately, but no data. Without the data, how am I going to do it? Educational institutions, you can do it very, very easily. You submit your certificate, this much of reservation, put them in. Okay, you are in. You have OBC certificate, okay, you are in. SAC certificate, sir, you are in. You are an SC, you are an ST. Okay, your list is there. Your names, your caste names are there as per the central list. You are in. Done. That is easy. But even there also we know, we saw the reality. If the reservation is this much, this many seats are lying vacant. So government also is trying to push for, okay, let the seats get filled so that they can show, see, now their education is improving. But government is also struggling there. So that is still easy. But this whole thing about income, to do that, what do you need? Data. Connection with 24 Davinder Singh judgment. In state of Punjab versus Davinder Singh decided on 1st August 24, a 7-judge constitution bench of Supreme Court by 6-1 majority held that states can constitutionally subclassify SC/ST. Judgment. So data becomes very, very important. Correct? Now for data, what you can do? You need to conduct census, which is exactly what the government of India is doing. India's first post-independent census with caste enumeration. Census 2027, which will be the 16th census since 1872 and the 8th census since independence. It will be conducted in 2 phases. Government decided to include caste enumeration for all communities in the census 2027, making it the first regular census after independence to enumerate caste beyond existing enumeration of SCs and STs. Phase 1, April to September 2026. Information regarding household, amenities, assets will be taken. Caste is not collected in phase 1. 33 questions will be there. Self-enumeration is also allowed because it is the first digital census. You can upload yourself all the data with regard to your household, what amenities you own, etc. Phase 2, which will most probably start from February 27. It is the first post-independent census to undertake caste enumeration for all communities. Read that again. First post-independent census. Caste census. It was never taken. That is the fundamental error here. That means in this last 79 years, we have not bothered to take caste census in this country. We have just made a policy. We have allowed it to continue like that without even reviewing. When you make any policy, what is the first thing to see? You need to review it. Correct. You make reservation also, you should see. You should take a review. Okay, how many communities got uplifted? How many communities are well off? For that, you need to conduct a census. But no government will ever do it. Fearing that, oh, I will lose the election, I will lose the election. Because like I told you, caste-based political parties are there. So everybody used to push it under the carpet. Because it is easier to say, I will give you reservation. That is very easy. But to deny somebody reservation on the basis of their educational or income status, that requires census, which is a very difficult job. Political suicide also, you can say. The government has stated that the exact phase 2 questions will be notified in due course because the phase 2 questions are largely related to caste. Therefore, the exact format of the caste question, including whether it will be open-ended and the precise number of questions or parameters, should not yet be stated as final. That means we don't have any idea how the government is going to really do that. But at least a step forward. Step forward, I would say. High time they did it. Taking it further forward. Snowbound and non-synchronous areas. Ladakh and snowbound non-synchronous areas, there also will follow a separate schedule because of geographical and climatic conditions. Ladakh, JNK, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand. Upper reaches, weather, geography, it is not easy to conduct the census there. For snowbound and non-synchronous areas, 1st October 2026 around 12 o'clock will be the reference date. Reference date for their census. Census reference date 12 o'clock on 1st October 2026. For the rest of India, 1st March 12 clock hours. That will be the census reference. That means from that date, the census data will be considered as the reference point. First digital census, online self-enumeration. More than 3 million enumerators, supervisors and other officials are expected to be part of it. Then census 2027 and delimitation. Obviously, the census 2027, in addition to being the first and foremost important census where caste related data is also collected, its other significance is what? This census will form the basis of the delimitation exercise, which is currently again another controversial topic that is doing the rounds in current affairs. And that will be the next topic that I'll be coming up with. All right. So this is what it is, people. This is where our country stands today. So as you clearly saw, discrimination, if it doesn't end, reservation also will never end. Funny thing is, I know again another couple who did not marry because they were from different castes. They never said it to their home because they knew their parents are very reserved. They both dated. They both, were very serious about their relationship. They even got physical, etc., etc. But finally, they ended up marrying two different people. They are settled. They are living. That is the interesting scenario here. When it comes to having affairs or premarital sex, there are no caste boundaries at least among the young. But they are very intelligent to the point where again they know they don't want to take that risk of, oh my God, parents will, that whole drama. Oh, lower caste, upper caste, why we need that? And they shake hands and they take two different directions. That is also there. That India is also there in this country. And I would quote, I don't remember exactly who said this. Thanks for the fact that Muslims are there in this country. So Hindus know with whom they should fight. If Muslims were not there in this country, all the Hindus would have fought with each other in the name of caste. What do you think? Do you agree with this quote or not? Put it up in the comment section. God bless you all. Take care. Jai Hind.